For analytics to work, you need a data infrastructure to collect and retain the data. You also need a process to clean and enrich data so that it is well organized and can be used to make decisions. So, what are the components of this infrastructure? Let's dive in. The centerpiece of this infrastructure is a data warehouse. This is where data is stored, organized, and pulled out efficiently, just like you store goods in a warehouse. When I say this, some people from the online business may say, "Oh yeah, that's a database. We already have that running." That is correct. Then, what is the difference between a database and a data warehouse? Well, they have similar roles in that they will accept new data and then retain it, and when necessary, they will pull out the data for you. However, the relational database in online application is more optimized for OLTP, online transaction processing. From your customer's point of view, the database should be very performant in processing transactions such as putting in new information or recording sales transactions, and so on. In the analytics workflow, on the other hand, you want to compute and compile numbers quickly. Often you compute average metrics and so on, and those numbers are based upon millions, sometimes billions of records. A relational database hosting online and cloud application is not typically optimized to do such heavy lifting in computing. A data warehouse is differently architected to make those computations happen quickly and at scale. Functionally, that is the main difference between a relational database and a data warehouse. In other words, a data warehouse supports OLAP, online analytics processing. The data warehouse is just an empty box if no data is coming in. How do you put data in a data warehouse? You can manually upload your Excel or CSV files. That is one way. However, to make the data ingestions continuous and automatic, you typically build a data pipeline. You may have heard the words ETL or ELT processes. Let me explain what those are. ETL is short for extraction, transformation, and loading. Data is extracted from the source applications, such as your company's SaaS applications. Even when you are not running an online business, today's business is supported by many cloud applications. Salesforce for tracking sales activity and business leads, HubSpot for marketing activities, Zendesk for customer support, and so on. As you do those activities as a business function, the data about customers and business activity is accumulated in those cloud applications. It's a good idea to move data from those applications into your data warehouse so that you can combine the different aspects of customer activities such as sales, application usage, or customer support activity to have a 360-degree view of each customer. To do so, you'll need to extract data from those sources. That's called extraction. Now, ETL's T stands for transformation. Just ingesting data will get you the raw format of the table straight out of a data source. As in the previous example of creating a 360-degree view of the customer, you will need to combine the customer sales information with product usage from the proprietary database and customer support records from Zendesk. While you do so, you also need to clean up the data for accuracy. All the things are part of transformation. Lastly, ETL's L stands for loading. It is to load the data from the source to the data warehouse. So far, I talked about ETL, but sometimes you hear ELT instead of ETL, depending on the order of operations. Sometimes you first transform the data before loading them into the data warehouse. That is ETL. In ELT, however, you load the extracted data without transformation. After data is loaded into the data warehouse, you do the necessary transformation using the data warehouse's computing power. ETL used to be more common than ELT. However, storage and computing in a data warehouse have become so cheap that it makes sense now to first dump all the data into the data warehouse and then transform the data against a massive data set within the data warehouse. Now, that practice could also create unwanted side effects, but that's a discussion for another day. Overall, whether you do ETL or ELT, you are creating a data pipeline from the data source to the data warehouse. Lastly, stored data is wasted if not used. The massive data in the warehouse has to be expressed in a human-readable or interpretable form, often tables or graphs. Those representations have to be rendered by software called Business Intelligence Tool. If you're using your company's dashboard for the state of the business or some reports, most likely you're running business intelligence tools to create those graphs. Business intelligence tools can connect to data warehouse to get up-to-date data and then compute the data to create pretty graphs. People can look at those graphs on a desktop computer or sometimes on mobile devices to make decisions. Now, that was a lot of information. I pause here so that you can find out what systems your business is using today. You may find your company still doesn't have the modern data infrastructure that I explained in this video. Until the next video, I encourage you to find the current status. Talk to your coworkers if necessary. Take your notes to compare the video about the solution providers that I will explain in the next video. See you soon.